Alright, what is going on today, chat? Episode 80, the big 80. What's going on, chat? The big 80 for grade review. Pretty big day for me, not gonna lie. Never thought I'd get to episode 80. Make sure my light is actually working. Let's try that real quick. So what's going on, guys? There we go. Now you can see me. So we are just going to get right into this thing. Fast and furious. So, we're just going to get right into it, chat. Nice and fast. So, without further ado, my name is Galaxy Gaming, and we are going to be pre-grading your cards, chat. So, every Wednesday at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I help you guys pre-grade your cards absolutely for free, because PSA costs a lot of money to send. And I'm just trying to save you guys money. Teach you a thing or two. We talk about some other stuff in the hobby. So as always, if you guys enjoy yourselves and enjoy what you are seeing, liking and sharing the live is always appreciated. And I'm just getting my little grade assessment here. I also stream on YouTube. Yeah, man. It's crazy. But now we're just here to talk about Pokemon. Keep it simple. So let's look at this band artwork Moo Moo Milk. For those of you who don't know, I recently just picked up a copy myself. I am an avid collector of band art, and we are looking at this bad boy right here. Not this specifically, but this card right here. The Moo Moo Milk. So this is a submission by Mike. So Mike, thank you as always for being a subscriber. And we are just going to get right into it. So the four main grading criteria we're looking at: centering, corners, edges, and surface. So we're going to get right into it. So the first thing that we notice right off the rip is that there's a little bit of centering issues on the right side. Looks like a little bit thicker than the left. And as a reminder, we are trying to look for anything within 50-50 to 55-45 ratio. So anything higher than that is not a candidate for a PSA 10 grade. So let's just do a quick measurement here. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 tick marks roughly on that right side. And this one's a little bit kind of a guesstimate because it is a little bit of an angle from the photo. So for example, we got roughly, to the best of my ability, we got 1, 2, 3 on the left. So 4 on the right, 3 on the left, being 7 total. So if we divide 4 divided by 7, we have roughly 0.57. So that'd be, what was that, 57.43? So if the measurements are correct, chat, so if the measurements that we're doing right now are the same as what the card is in person, this card cannot get a PSA 10 from front centering alone, based off of what PSA says as their centering threshold, which again is 50-50 to 55-45. So Jersey might be able to help us out there, but from what we can see on the picture, the centering is going to prevent this from getting the 10, if that measurement is correct. But let's look at the rest of the card here. So the right side looks good. No impacts, no weird issues there. Maybe the only thing, if I really had to be picky, a little bit of whitening there on that top right corner, right where my mouse is highlighting. But as we flip the card over, you can kind of see that off-centering on the front translating over to the back. This is a good rule of thumb if you guys are ever need a little bit of extra insurance on if something is off-center or not. In certain cases, the centering on one side of the front will be the same on the reverse side. So for example, it is off-center on this right side, so when you flip it over, right, it should be on the left side. And in this case, it is. So it's a little bit thicker on the back, or on that left side compared to the right, where on the front, it was the opposite. And as a reminder, the back has more leniency than the front, so instead of the 55-45 ratio on the front side, the back has way more leniency of 75-25 on the back. So it's way more lenient. But aside from that, the only thing that I really see on the back. And let me use and for those of you who are wondering what tool I'm using tonight, I am just simply using the snipping tool baked into Windows. So nothing crazy, nothing fancy. This is something that I do if I ever need to, like if I'm looking for online grading plays or anything like that. Just a tool that I often use if I need it. So one thing that I see is in this section. So a little bit of abrasion on that left side, as well as possibly there as well. So right now we're just kind of looking at the corners. Top right corner looks good. Check that off. Top edge looks good. Top left corner looks good. A little bit of some fuzz there on that left side. Bottom left looking good. Bottom edge looking good. Yeah, so really the only thing that is really kind of giving us some issues, and this is really good to point out, guys, if you are new here, with the exception of this little bit of abrasion on the left side, the only thing that I really want to kind of call attention to, again, is just the centering on the front. So the centering is really just going to set the ceiling. So the best case scenario, this card would get a PSA 9 due to that centering alone. So this is a really good indicator on the power of centering on the front specifically. And so having that being said, I think this card would get a PSA 9 because the rest of the card looks really good. The corners are good, the edges are good, the surface is good with the exception of that little bit on the back, which I kind of have circled here, but it's very, very zoomed in. So we're really trying to draw attention to it, but I would still lean more towards this being a 9 contender than anything. So that is that. And while I go to the next card, as a reminder, if anyone has any questions about anything Pokemon related for centering, or what graders do I prefer, or what cards do I pick up, or what cards do I avoid, stuff like that, I am more than happy to answer any of those questions. I actually just dropped a new vendor POV video today, so I do that on the side. So any questions are more than welcome here. And we are going to go into the Flareon Delta species. I always like the look of these Delta species, kind of the steel types with the Flareon, Jolteon, and the Vaporeon specifically are really nice. So let's take a look at this one. So centering is good here. So let me just take a quick snip of the new card, Flareon, that we're looking at. So Flareon, centering looks good, top, bottom, left, right, so that's good. Next, we're going to kind of take a look at the top corner. In your opinion, well, first, thank you for liking the live, Daddy. In your opinion, do you think 151 top chases will ever go back down in price? I would say, yeah. I don't see why they wouldn't. They're continuously being like reprinted. There hasn't been any official announcement of them stopping the printing. I also think that things kind of ebb and flow, but normally when things start to go down in this current market, it tends to go down by at least 30 to 40%, but then starts to kind of climb back up again. Obviously, don't take my word for it, but that's kind of what I notice in the market. So if you just kind of see a dip, just kind of keep that in mind to kind of shoot for like a minus 30, minus 40%, if it does. But I think overall, I think so. But as a reminder, if you're a raw hunter or a non-PSA grading collector, looking at PSA 8s or PSA 7s sometimes is a good alternative as well. So top right corner looks good. Center edge looks good. Top left corner looks good. Left edge looks good. We do maybe have what appears to be a scratch or something in this section. That might be the hollow, so we kind of have to leave that to interpretation, but that looks like a little bit of like lightning or discoloration there in a very kind of straight line, so it almost looks like a scratch. Bottom edge looks good. Possible whitening in that corner. Let me make it a little bit more precise so you guys can see what I'm talking about here. So it's going to be like right about, that is a wicked thick circle, huh? It's a little too thick, chat. A little too thick. So try that again. Yes. There we go. So right about there is where I'm kind of seeing something. And as we go up on the right edge, that looks good. And then now we're kind of looking at the surface here. So this hollow is pretty good, actually. We have some other angles that we're going to take a look at as well. Maybe a little bit of dirt on this D in delta. So one thing that I often say in this stream or during this segment is if you have like a microfiber cloth or a Q-tip in some distilled water, oftentimes you can remove some of that looser dirt because you don't want to give PSA or any grading company any wiggle room to knock you some points for surface. So something like that is pretty easy to remove, and it's not considered alteration as long as you kind of stick with those materials. But that is something that I see, and if we leave it on there, we don't want to give them anything. Yes, definitely practice on trash cards before you do anything on good cards like this Flareon, if you have never done that before. So this next angle of this Flareon, we're really trying to look for scratches or dings or anything like that. And the first thing that I see as a potential, and I'm going to kind of make it more of an orange color because my confidence in it being a scratch is a little bit lower. So let me kind of do almost like an orange color, like a lower confidence. So I don't know if you guys can see this specifically on stream, like right where I'm kind of tracing with my, and I'll kind of have it go right to the left here. So right about like here to the left of this line is where I'm kind of seeing. So like right in this section. But again, that's more of like a lower confidence because I really don't know if that is. There might be some other pictures that we can see. But aside from that, that's really the only thing I see from this angle. And as we look at the other angle, nothing there, perfect. And if you guys do decide to get your cards graded, it's always nice to be present during these streams. The VOD always goes up after the stream, so just in case if you ever have your card reviewed and you miss it, the VOD always goes live on my YouTube the moment the stream is done. So just kind of keep that in mind. But if you are here like Jersey is, it really helps kind of get some questions answered to really give a more accurate response. So for example, to the left of this fire energy on this left side on this new angle, see a little bit of what appears to be dirt, which in the front-facing picture, we could actually see. But again, the more angles for this stuff, the better, only because, again, we can see it. And so I can kind of provide you with a better assessment. And so we can kind of see some of that scratching or what appears to be a scratch on this left side that I kind of hinted at, and I'll kind of make the scratch in between these two lines. So right in this kind of boxed area, there's a little bit of a scratch there from what it looks like. But aside from that, that's all I see on the side angle on this one. And so I think now we are looking at the back of the Flareon. So let's take another. So I got that one, that one, that one. So let us do a back screenshot. And so centering is good. And right now I'm just going to kind of circle some whitening that I see. So we have a little bit, and I'm actually going to use the circle tool again. That's kind of nice. So we got one right about there. And let's see. So one possibly there. We definitely have one on here. I just pulled a card that has white marks perfectly in each corner. I'm wondering if I messed it up or if manufacture. Well, I would imagine if you pulled it, unless you kind of like threw it down a flight of stairs, it's probably on them versus you. You know what I mean? But if there's two, if you're saying each corner, the chances of that getting a 10 are very low. I will say that. Well, hopefully it was a cool card at least. Have a little bit of some surface scratching there. Left corner looks good. A little bit of whitening on the bottom there. Some dirt there. Some pretty notable whitening there. So we're kind of in almost like an 8 range, 8 to 7 range just from the whitening alone. So we have some here, here. Yeah, I mean that's still pretty cool, man. I I always try to emphasize, just because a card doesn't get a 10 and you pulled it doesn't mean it's not, like it's still a good pull. I would love getting a chase card out of a set. Anytime I open product, my luck is trash. So I don't even think about grading. I just like, wow, I'm actually lucky enough to have pulled a chase card. Because again, my luck is awful. So we have a lot of whitening that we've kind of noted here on the back. So we have some other angles that we're going to look at too. So this is just kind of more looking at some of that, again, more of that edge wear in addition to some surface wear on this blue border. Just from these different angles kind of helps us kind of paint a better picture here. And more whitening noted on this angle and more on that one. And that's just you highlighting that before we go on to the Dark Charizard. Okay. So we have noted some potential issues on the front. This one was confirmed to not be. So on the front, we have some mild scratching and some repairable kind of dirt marks here by the left border, as well as on the D in Delta. And on the back, we have more notable whitening. So how I start to assess cards like this in a kind of like a range. So I kind of work my way backwards on both ends. So let's start off with the better condition. So do I think this is a PSA 9 or 10? No, I don't. Do I think this card, if I had it raw in my possession, would I assess this as light play or worse? That depends. So right now, we're kind of in like a 6 to 8 range just to kind of put guardrails up. Now we kind of go in from there. So the amount of whitening that I see on the back alone, in addition to some of the the mild scratching on the front, some of the dirt marks that again can be repaired, but it's really more on the back that I'm really more concerned with. I would say that the whitening isn't as bad enough for me to consider it as light play just from the whitening alone, because some of them are just very, very simple. It's probably just some things that can be simply removed, like this one on the bottom, this one possibly, the one that I marked kind of towards this top left corner might be one. But all in all, it's not enough to where I would say, oh yeah, that's light play. I would say it's in that realm of like near mint minus, which to me kind of puts it in that near mint to PSA 7 range. So I think that this Flareon would get a PSA 7 because, again, the scratching on the front, these two dirt marks that can most likely be removed, but it's more on the back. So some of these small circles can be just simply wiped off, but it's primarily the top left corner, the right side, the center right side, and on that bottom right. And now if there was more, or if there was more surface issues or anything like that, it'd probably go down to a PSA 6. But for now, I'm kind of leaning more towards a PSA 7 in this case. Still a beautiful card, though. Delta species, just like regular holos, are they're still good. They're still good cards to pick up. And as a reminder, guys, if anyone is looking to ask any questions about anything, even if it's non-grading related, I'm always open to answering them. If you guys are enjoying yourselves as well, I always appreciate the likes and shares. It really does mean a lot. If you submit your cards in the grade review channel in our Discord, I'd be more than happy to. Normally, I have a queue closed every week because I stream once a week on Wednesdays. So definitely submit your card in the Discord. Link is in the bio. All right, so next up is Dark Charizard. So kind of similar to the Moo Moo Milk. This one has a little bit of a centering issue on that right side when compared to the left. So we can just kind of, again, we can kind of measure that real quick just to kind of give a more precise response. So again, I'm just going to reference these as tick marks. Put that on the right side. And we go from boom, boom. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5 roughly on that right side. And now we measure on the left. Again, you kind of have to forgive me here. I kind of have to do a little bit of wiggling here with the ruler because it's sometimes the angle is a little bit odd. So we have 1, 2, 3.5 roughly. So 3.5. So 3.5 plus 4.5 That's how we calculate the total. So 3.5 on the left side plus 4.5 on the right, which is 8. So now we just simply divide one of the sides. So we'll do 4.5 divided by 8. And we have roughly 5, 6. So 56.44. So on paper, based off of the measurement that we're doing, technically it's outside of the range of getting a PSA 10 from centering. But again, since I'm measuring on the internet, it's always advantageous of you to measure this stuff in person. Now, there's a ton of different tools out there. I personally just use a transparent ruler if I need to, or often I just eyeball it and kind of get a gist on whether or not it's going to be within that range, just because I've been doing this for so long. But a transparent ruler with millimeter markers is what I personally use. There's centering tools and stuff like that, but definitely do your homework, but that's what I personally use. So now that we see that, let's look at the rest of the card. So the top right corner, I'm actually going to take a little bit of a zoom here. And just so that the quality of the top is good, because there's a spot that I kind of want to zoom in a little bit and not lose some of that picture quality. So the top right, we have possibly something. I'll kind of highlight it in orange. Where can I send it exactly in your Discord? So there should be a grade review channel in the Discord. Once you click the bio and click on the Discord link on the top of my link tree, there should be a Discord or a grade review channel within the Discord. And once I'm done here, if you need me to kind of go over that one more time, I can. So we have 2 potential dirt marks on the top. The top edge looks good. Top left corner looks good. The top centering, or the top left edge, looks good on the top half, is what I was trying to say. So let's look at the hollow before I take another screenshot on the bottom. So we have potentially a little bit dirt by the Charmeleon in the stage 2 box. Let's see, possibly have some dirt by the tail. And I know we have some other pictures to look at in terms of looking at different angles for the hollow, but we have what may appear to be some scratching here near the flame. But aside from that, looks good. So let us look at the bottom now. Let me just take a quick screenshot of the bottom. And as we look here, that top left corner looks good. Top left edge, or bottom left edge looks good. Bottom edge looks good. Maybe a little bit of whitening there, but not too much. Right side looks good, and the text looks good. So the only thing that we're going to take a look at on this side is more of the hollow. And let's see. So nothing really standing out on this angle from the hollow pattern. So it's really just kind of the notes that I made on the front. So it's primarily just some of these dirt marks on the top here, as well as the things that I have circled. This possibly is a scratch. That's why I kind of have it in orange, and this possibly is a little bit of whitening in the top right. So we kind of have that going into the back. So let's look at the back now. And let me take another screenshot of the back. And let's take a look at a little bit closer. So centering on the back looks good. First, we'll take a look at the top right, which looks good. Top edge looks good. Have some dirt marks here and more notable there, in addition to this section right here. Possibly have some scratching in the blue border, or in the blue section on the back. Top left corner looks good. Now kind of going down in the left edge here. So we have some possible surface abrasions on this left border highlighted in orange. So kind of keep an eye on that. But we do have, which is a little bit more notable, we have some whitening here, some whitening there, some more dirt here, here, and here. So really the thing that I'm noticing the most here is just if this card can kind of go through a quick kind of once-over with a microfiber, it would do really well to kind of improve some of those surfaces. I lost my black microfiber cloth. No worries, man. I feel like I can pick up most of kind of what you're throwing down here. So really just a lot of the things on the surface can be kind of treated with that microfiber and the distilled water, especially in this top left section in the kind of lighter part, which I have circled here, or kind of blobbed. But aside from that, the only bit of whitening on I saw was really on the left side in the bottom left corner on the back. But aside from that, it's just kind of very, very mild surface scratches. So let me kind of take a once look over on the front side. So really the thing notable is just the centering is kind of capping us at that PSA 9 at the best case scenario. And then as we flip it over, or zoom in rather, it's really just more dirt marks than anything and very mild scratching and what appears to be by that flame of the Charizard's tail. So with the whitening in the top right, potentially, and the scratch there, as well as the things that can be treated circled in green, on the front, it actually looks really good. So I'd say right now we're kind of in a 9 to 8 range, just from the front alone. And on the back, it's really just kind of these mild surfaces. Some of those surface issues are actual issues and not dust on the back. Okay, so if that is the case, then we're probably getting into that 8 to 7 range. But I'd probably lean more towards, you know, probably a 7 than an 8, only because of this section here. Depending on how bad that is, that actually might even be a 6. Because the eye appeal, it's really noticeable, just due to the contrast of the card being there, in addition to some surface issues. So we're kind of in my opinion, we're kind of in that near mint to light play area, based off of the back, if that is like what you're saying, issues as opposed to dust. But I would have to say in this section, I would say if I had this, you know, I feel like people would probably start grilling me to say that it's kind of light play in nature, just because of that dirt that's very noticeable in the white section. You really can't ignore it. And that is actually a kind of a fifth hidden grading criteria, which is eye appeal. So if I can see it very clearly in that white section, PSA and any other person can, just because it's so obvious. So I'd probably lean more towards, just because of this alone, in addition to some of the whitening that I'm seeing, I'd probably lean more towards a 6 for that reason, because of that eye appeal, because of it drawing us to it, in addition to some of these potential issues here and some of these notable issues on towards the bottom left that you're kind of saying that cannot be removed. I'd probably lean more towards a 6. I would say if this wasn't here, this top left corner, I'd probably say a 7, but since it is, and it's pretty noticeable that is like darker in nature, that's why I'm leaning more towards a 6. So yeah. Well, thank you as always, Mike. I'm gonna probably keep calling you that until I probably should start calling you Jersey though, but I appreciate it as always, man, for being a subscriber over on Discord. So next up, we have, let's see, because that is the last of the subscribers. So now the non-subscribers, we have Coffin Critter with some more Chinese evolutions. We had some last week, and now we're getting some more. I could not do yours today, Albin, just due to the fact that I have a queue every week. So everyone is kind of predetermined before, and you can kind of see that in the thread. So it's first come, first serve. However, if you want yours assessed faster for next week, if you want priority like what Mike had, the Discord server does offer a subscription starting at $2.99 if you want priority each week. But it's first come, first serve. And there's a 15 card queue each week. Got to keep it fair. So I appreciate your patience and understanding, my friend. All right, so Coffin Critter. Let's look at yours. So the front of this Umbreon, centering is great. No issues there. Corners look great. Edges look good. I mean, it's a little bit dark in terms of lighting. This is probably a good note to make if you guys are going to take pictures of your cards. Make sure that the pictures are very well lit. The more information that you provide me, the better of an assessment I can provide to you. So in this example, I can't really see if there's any print lines or scratches on the holo itself. Normally for modern, that's not really an issue because, again, unless you threw the card down a flight of stairs, it's presumed to not for Japanese, Korean, Chinese. So, Albin, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. So on the back, I am not noticing any whitening on the corners. Edges look good. Centering looks good. Based off of what I'm seeing so far in this Umbreon, this has a pretty good 10 contention. Really good. Next is the Sylveon. So that right border looks a little bit thicker than the left, but it's definitely within that range. So that's kind of what I'm talking about with eyeballing it. Something like this I really wouldn't have to measure unless I was going for like a black label or something more pristine in nature. But for something like this, you really don't need it. Corners look good. Surface, again, is a little bit dark, but I would imagine it's as equally as good. And again, probably another 10 contender. The corners are good. Centering is perfect. There's no issues with the edges. I'm not seeing anything noticeable. So the Umbreon and Sylveon, if these were in my possession and I'm trying to go for 10s, I'd probably submit both, to be honest. So very good. Very good for the Umbreon and the Sylveon. All right, next up we have Amari with the Wailord and the Mega Rayquaza from Celebrations. And I will say, kind of a side topic of grade review, one of the sets that I am starting to pick up myself, and I'll give you guys some kind of free insight on where my brain is. I would say the 25th anniversary, some of those are probably going to be good pickups, not from an investment perspective, but more of like when the new set is announced. I would say more specifically the Umbreon Gold Star. My kind of weird premonition is that if they made the Umbreon Gold Star for the 25th anniversary, it'd be really cool if they made the Espeon version in the 30th anniversary coming up. So there's no truth in that. I have no idea if that's true or not, but that's what I'm betting on, chat. I'm thinking that the Espeon Gold Star will be in the 30th anniversary. It just logically makes sense. It'd be cool because it's really hard to get those two cards, and them introducing the Umbreon Gold Star in the 25th anniversary, it only makes sense for them to introduce the Espeon in the 30th anniversary if they decide to do the Classic Collection again, which was a huge hit. I don't know why they wouldn't do it again. But who knows? Pokemon doesn't make sense sometimes. So, but anyway, let's look at this Wailord. So centering on this Wailord, again, really good. Really for modern, the biggest two things that I always look for is centering and corners. And centering and corners on this one is really good. No major issues there. And the only thing that I see if the picture is accurate, and I'm going to just zoom in just so that we can really kind of hone in here and I can kind of highlight, because this is a good example of whitening from a pack fresh card, is we have right here, that bottom left corner and the bottom right here. We have a little bit of whitening that's a little bit too much for my taste when kind of saying that this is going to be a PSA 10 contender, is that left corner there and these right corners here. So probably are within that like 9 range, and if it's really bad really bad within like near mid plus, right? It'd probably be an 8, but I'm probably leaning more towards a 9. So again, for modern, especially as a IR like this, obviously with the exception of Magikarp, which is just insane, it's really just 10 or bust. So I probably wouldn't submit this. Just save your money. It probably won't 10. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So the Mega Rayquaza EX from Celebrations, centering on the top and bottom look good, as well as the left and the right. And on the back, kind of the same thing, to be honest, as the Wailord. So it's really, again, more on this bottom half. So all these little kind of white specks here, which I'm assuming is whitening. So we have there, we have 1, 2, in this section, mildly here and here. Just those alone, even though it really doesn't look that bad, You know, pack fresh, no issues. Even just like this right here, this one on the bottom left and this one on the bottom right would prevent this card from getting a 10 from having 2 points of whitening, even though they're very, very minimal. I know it sucks. I know a lot of people try to say, hey, you know, it is what it is. This probably wouldn't get the 10 because of those 2 white specks in the bottom left and the bottom right. So, sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but save your money. I probably wouldn't submit it if you're trying to hunt for a 10. That's just my kind of my personal opinion. All right, so next up, which are really, really cool, kind of talking about some of the past anniversary collections and stuff like that. Cindy, thank you for liking the live. Appreciate that very much. Is the Sylveon EX and the Lapras EX. So we have the Sylveon EX from the Radiant collection, probably one of my favorite subsets, because I really love the kind of the ribbon thing and whatever, really kind of cool, just fun thing that they did. And it was when fairy types were still around before they got nerfed into the ground. So let's take a look at this Sylveon EX. So the first thing that I notice as we kind of take a look here is that the centering is good. Maybe a little bit thicker on that right side, but I think we're within that range. But really the big thing that I'm noticing right off the bat is what appears to be a little bit of a dent up in this top right corner. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's a little bit of like a shadowed spot here, right where the tip of my mouse is. But that's really about it on that left side, or on the top right side. But aside from that, it's really kind of difficult to see much more on this. I really love the ribbon pattern. This card is just so nice. The Eevee in the background. But the Sylveon specifically looks to be okay. There's nothing else that I can kind of see. No issues that I can see. So let's flip it over and see if we can. So we have some more on the bottom here. So it looks like there's some more issues on the back than the front. And so as we look at the back, so centering is okay. And as we go to the top right, possibly some whitening there. We have some white specks in this section here. This section we have 2. Honestly, the things I just circled, those should be able to just wipe off pretty easily with a microfiber cloth. So honestly, wouldn't worry about that too much there as well. And again, guys, make sure to wipe these cards down with a microfiber and a little bit of distilled water. Definitely test with, if you're going to use distilled water, if there's like a stubborn bit of dirt or gunk or dust or something like that, always test it on cards that, you know, in case you dumped the whole thing of water on it, would you be upset? Those are the cards to test that stuff on. But stuff like this could be easily removed with just some distilled water and some patience. So really not too bad. But this is really where I'm kind of noticing the biggest issue here. So all of this is a pretty noticeable, what I kind of call a pack fold, just because of the shadowing here. So that looks like a little bit worse of a pack fold than I've seen in past. I have not reviewed any Pikachus yet, Mason. Let's see. And I don't even know if you are in the queue, because I don't have any Pikachus. So we have some whitening there. We also have something there. But that's about it. So it's really... So it really looks like the main issues is probably the bottom left and the bottom right for kind of like a more aggressive pack fold than I've seen in the past. But the Sylveon also on the front has a little bit of a kind of a ding in the top here. So I've been seeing... Excuse me. So I've been seeing PSA ding more on pack folds as of late. The reason why I say that is I at the last Sunday's show, I was seeing a lot of modern cards in like the newer cert range that have those pack folds on the top left and top right on the back that have been getting 9s a lot more, which is telling me that they're kind of dinging those more. So with this card specifically, I still don't think it would probably get a 10 or even a 9 just because of the ding on the top right as well as the 2 on the bottom corners. But the bottom corners on the back, I kind of see more as pack folds, but more of an aggressive version. So why am I yapping so long about these pack folds? Is because I'd say probably in the past, I'd probably in this case specifically with the potential issue on the top right, and then the potential pack folds in the bottom left and the bottom right, I probably would lean more towards like maybe like a soft 8, hard 7. But based on how these look and kind of how they've been updating their grading standard, I wouldn't be surprised if we're kind of within that 7 to even 6 range. If they're starting to kind of weigh more heavily on these kind of like weird pack folds. So this one, for me, I kind of have to give like a very loose, like, I mean, it's still within like a 7 or a 6, but more loose in nature. Because I haven't had enough cards that I've been confident to like submit to kind of test that theory. So this one would be one of those that if you did decide to submit, I would definitely like to know what you get, because I'm leaning between that 7 or 6 because I don't know how heavy they would weigh that pack fold, because it does appear. Because everything else, like I said, unless you obviously ignore these, then that's kind of, you know, a little bit worse as well. But that'd really be the only thing, is I'd probably lean more towards like a 7, hopefully, but then more of like a 6 on the other side, just in case if it's a little bit too bad. But that's kind of my cop out my cop out little response. But so okay, so the next one is going to be, so we had the Sylveon, so now we go to the Lapras. So let's take a look at that. So the Lapras EX. Love these old school EXs for sure. So let's take a look. So centering on this, a little bit thicker on that left side, but again, we're definitely within that range. It is a little bit thick on the top, so you might get something there. Really the biggest thing that I noticed just right off the rip is kind of these scratches here in this bottom left section. So all right, and especially for these older e-readers, these silver borders are notorious for scratches. So pretty much all in this section right in here is pretty prone to scratching. So right now we're kind of in that near mint range, but we'll see if that stays that way or gets worse as we flip it over. So like, for example, we see some scratching there on the nose. There might even be some kind of hidden the rest of the hollow, but we only have the one picture, so we really can't judge it too hard. So we just kind of have to kind of keep it open-ended a little bit. So as we go to the back, this is where we're probably going to start to see more of that light play, mod play range. So because we have a lot to circle here. So let's take a look at the back. So the back, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. This one's really bad in that top left corner, as well as here. Yeah, so right off the rip, like, we have some dirt. I don't know if that's like, I don't know what that is. Have some whitening there on the bottom left. So right now we're kind of in that like light play to mod play, like 6 to 5 range. And honestly, just from the amount I'm circling on these edges, I'm probably leaning more towards like MP plus, which would probably be more so in the PSA 5 range as opposed to a PSA 6. Because a lot of this, like, there is a lot of whitening on the back, but the points I've noted in the corners specifically are very predominant, which tends to lean more towards the PSA 5 range as opposed to the PSA 6. So I would probably assess your Lapras EX as a PSA 5. Just because of the scratching in the bottom left that we kind of highlighted. My assumption is that there's probably also some more scratching kind of hidden around the card because, again, EXs from this era are prone to scratches because everything is hollow, which is the really cool part about the cards, but also kind of its Achilles heel as well. And as we flip it over on the backside, we're really kind of seeing more of that predominant whitening on the top left corner here, the bottom left corner, and the bottom right corner. So leaning more towards that 5 because of that reason. John, thank you for liking the live. Appreciate that very much. And again, for those of you who are new here, my name is Galaxy Gaming, and I give free pre-grading reviews every Wednesday. So if you guys have any cards, definitely ask me how to submit. I do this every week or every Wednesday at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, both on YouTube and TikTok. So next up, we have the Japanese Shining Gyarados with a little bit of a hollow bleed. So this will be kind of cool too to kind of look here. So let's take a look. So first off, the centering is looking good. Thanks for rating my Chinese Umbreon. Came back as a 10. That's awesome, dude. What about the Sylveon? I think I assessed the Umbreon as a 10 and the Sylveon just now as a 10. Did they both come back as 10s? Because again, I just got done assessing those. Assuming you are Critter on Discord. All right, so centering on this bad boy is good. Gotcha. I've been reviewing so many of the Chinese cards, dude. It's been crazy. I just got done reviewing an Umbreon and a Sylveon. So front of this bad boy looking good, looking fresh. No scratches from what I can tell from this picture. Maybe a little bit of an issue in the top right. So I do see, and I might actually have to zoom in just a tad so I can maintain that zoom in. But basically what I'm looking at is right here. Possibly might be something, but I'm really zooming in, so it might be kind of like camera artifact thing, to be quite honest with you. But so far, I mean, I don't see any scratches just because of the angle. We do have a little bit of what appears to be some issues, though, in the bottom right side. But again, I don't know if it's a weird photo artifact or something like that, but right here, you can kind of see some slight discoloration in the bottom right corner there. You can kind of see it in kind of the quarter circle there. But again, I don't know because I'm zooming in or whatever. So we kind of have to kind of keep that loose. But the back seems like is where we're going to be kind of taking some points away from the back of this Shining Gyarados. So centering looks good. Top right corner looks good in the sense that the light source is coming from this direction, so it's really kind of hard to tell if there is whitening in this section. So we'll kind of have to pass that, but there's some whitening there. All of this dirt and debris, I don't know what that is. Getting some eggplants in chat. Gotta love that for me. Bottom left corner looks good. The right side, that's pretty notable whitening there. Bottom right. So again, we're kind of in that, we're starting to get into that light play area on the back alone. And that's what's always so unfortunate with cards like this. You know, from a grading perspective, from a binder collecting perspective, which I personally like to do, this would be an excellent binder card because the grade itself, we're probably in like a 7 to even like a 6 range because of like it being light play with a lot of the whitening being more notable on the backside, which would be pretty like a strong light play. But if you have this as a binder copy, you know, it never doesn't matter. You'll never see the back. So this would be a great binder copy for me. In addition with that nice little swirl I just saw, like right here, kind of hidden. which is really nice. But I would say because of the whitening on the back that I've highlighted here, in addition to a lot of this kind of like dirt and grime kind of stuck on the back of the card, we're probably leaning more towards a light play, especially with how predominant the whitening is in the bottom right-hand corner. So I would probably assess this as a PSA 6 or a really good light play copy, to be honest. So good binder copy, but a PSA 6 contender, in my opinion, for that Shining Gyarados. All right, next up, we have, where are you? Jamie, the Cynthia's Garchomp. And these appear to be the same copy. So let's take a look. So again, centering and corners is really what we're looking at. And again, guys, I cannot stress it enough. So we see a little bit of what appears to be some fuzz or something like that stuck in the bottom left-hand corner. Do not give PSA any reason to dock you points on surface. Make sure to just wipe it off with a microfiber cloth just in case, because especially in cards like this that are very textured in nature, sometimes they can get stuck in there and they won't come off, especially if they go to PSA. They're not going to clean them for you, allegedly. So just kind of keep that in mind. Just kind of wipe it off. And yeah. And on the back, corners look good. Edges look good. Again, really just kind of dusty. Like there's just a bunch of like random dust on it. So if you honestly, if you just clean the card, just wipe it off with a microfiber cloth on the front and the back, this should be a 10 contender, to be honest. It's just really just kind of cleaning it up. Same thing here. Some of these other pictures that you're kind of sending, assuming this is the same card. I'm really not worried about the rest of it. Super missed out on mine. Coffin, so I can tell you, ready? I'll tell you right now. I think, right? Because you had... Yeah, so you had the Umbreon and the Sylveon. So both the Umbreon and the Sylveon I assessed as PSA 10 contenders. That's the quick and dirty. You can kind of go back and see, but the centering was perfect. The corners were great. The only thing that I kind of noted was that it was a little bit dark to see if there was any scratches on the hollow foil. So it was kind of difficult to really like be more confident in the 10 prediction just because of the lighting. So as long as there's not like any major print lines or scratches that you can personally see on the front or the back, just kind of take a note of that. But from the centering and corners perspective on the front and the back, they looked good enough for me to consider it as a 10 contender. So just kind of keep that in mind. But that's about it. But no worries, man. Okay, so that's at least it's good that we're able to at least hope that people are going to be getting possible 10s here. Anytime, Coffin. Anytime, my friend. So the Chansey from base set. This one I thought was outside of a sleeve. The back was. So this one's going to be really tough. I thought this was out of the sleeve because these two were, and it's kind of blurry. So we're going to have to take a really wide range here. So again, this is an example, guys. If you're going to submit your cards, you got to make sure that they're outside of the sleeve, because my prediction now has to be very wide in nature. Because at the thumbnail on the back was the main picture. This was out of the sleeve, but then the front is in a sleeve because it's so reflective on the bottom. So the centering is good. I have no idea if there's scratches on the hollow. I have no idea if there's any issues on the bottom, because the first thing I see when I'm looking at the bottom of this Chansey is I see what's very common in this era, which is called silvering. I think I submitted mine too late, but wanted to double check. I had a Jolteon, Sylveon, and a Charizard. I don't think I have any of those in the queue for this week. If you want to check the status of where you're at in the queue, let's see. Yeah, because yours was relatively new. So if you go to the episode 80 thread, you'll see where I left off at. So you just kind of work from there and go back. So I literally start from the top and go all the way to the bottom. But I first start with subscribers. So just kind of keep that in mind. So with this, yeah, so this is all lighting because this, I kind of got tricked. So normally I say if there's a card in a sleeve, I don't review it. I got tricked kind of because this was the first image. As the thumbnail, it wasn't in a sleeve. But this is in a sleeve, so I really can't predict what the bottom edge, especially with the amount of silvering, which you can see in this section right here. So I have to really be kind of loose here, and even this is like very poorly lit. Like I can't even really, unfortunately, I can't really even grade it, to be honest, because it's just too blurry. And honestly, the back, how this looks, this back part, this almost looks fake to me, to be honest. But again, I don't know if it's because of the lighting. I don't know if it's because of it's blurry. It just looks it looks too saturated to where I'm like, it might even be fake. I have no idea. So that's kind of the funny enough. PSA just sent me an image they took of my card and it has something similar to that, and I'm glad to know. Yeah, when PSA sends you pictures, Joe, it's how they scan it in the state that they received it prior to them taking it out of the sleeve in the top loader and stuff. Or yeah, I think it's when they take it out of the top loader, but they still keep it in the sleeve. And so their scanners, they go through so many cards right a day, that sometimes if you see a scratch on your scan, it's more than likely on the scanning piece of glass that they use, because mine have those too. So don't go into it assuming that there was an issue when you receive your scan. However, one thing I will recommend is always take a picture or always scan your cards before you send them to PSA because of that fact. But when I first saw that too, I was right there with you. So yeah, I really can't do much with this, to be honest. I mean, it looks good. If I had to guess, like, I don't know how many scratches there are. I mean, I don't see any major whitening on the back, like on the edges. So, we're hopefully out of that 6 to lower range, but I'd probably put it anywhere from like a 7 to an 8, like if I had to guess. But again, I'm kind of just guessing because it's in a sleeve, it's blurry, it's not well lit. This looks fake to me. So we got a lot going on. So just kind of keep that in mind. This is an example of probably what not to do. Because I really can't give a good grade because of it. Okay. So now that we got that out of the way, we have that one. And your Giovanni, the same thing. Like, okay, connects the picture above. Centering looks good. I'm not showing it. But let's see. Sorry, how they submitted this picture is a little bit confusing. So this is this card, and then this one was the Chansey. So this one is the other card that they submitted, which is the Team Rockets Giovanni. So the centering on this looks okay. And then the back, again, there's like weird fuzzy stuff on there and what appears to be some whitening in the bottom right. But again, you have it on a white background, so I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it looks good, but that might be whitening in the bottom right. I have no idea. So I'd probably say, just to be conservative, probably say more of a 9. But all right, next up, we have probably one of my favorite cards of the submission for tonight. Is the Primal Groudon EX. So let us take a look at this bad boy. So this one might be a little bit confusing for folks on where exactly I'm looking for centering here. And I'll kind of highlight it for this card specifically because there's a lot going on. So normally what I do is I try to find a gap anywhere. So the gap that I'm kind of looking is going to be right here. So there, and then just kind of measuring here. So with those 2 points, I'm going to, let's see. So we're going to do this. Going to measure right about here. And we're going to zoom in. Boom. All right. So centering, we're going to go right from here out. So we're going to go zoop. Right about there. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tick marks on the left side. And on the right, again, it's a little bit skewed, so the measurements might not be exact, but you kind of have to work with what we got here. So if we go from here to about there, so we have 1, 2, 3, kind of like close to 4. So we'll kind of say like 3.75, roughly. Again, really kind of doing some loose numbers here, but kind of closer to 4 than 3.5. So if we do 5 plus 3.75 equals 8.75, and we'll do 5 divided by 8.75 equals 57. So what that means is, again, very loose measurements. Do this in person, whatever. So what this means is that the ratio would be 57-43. So it's outside of the 55-45, which would tell you that the highest this card could go, if the rest of it's completely flawless, the highest it could go would be a PSA 9. So with centering alone on the front, this card, technically on paper, would be a PSA 9 at best. But there's obviously a lot more card that we have to look at, so we just kind of keep that in mind. So there's a lot of texture to this card as well, so it's pretty difficult for us to really determine or see any other issues. But the edges look good, corners look good. It's really going to be the back that's going to kind of determine the fate of this thing. But even the back, man, the back looks really clean. Even though it's a little bit dark, we can kind of see what we need to for this, because it does look, I mean, more or less it looks pack fresh, which is crazy to me. But we do have what appears to be a little bit of dirt there. But the centering on the back actually looks pretty good. No issues on the top right corner. Top edge looks good. Again, wipe that off. That top left corner looks good. That looks good. That looks good. Left edge looks good. Bottom left corner looks good. Bottom edge looks good. So all of these actually look really strong. So I would say legitimately that, like, triple check my measurement here, because the picture that you sent is at an angle, meaning that the left side is a little bit closer to the camera than the right side, so it's kind of giving like a weird zoom in function here. But if the centering on the front is within that 55-45 range, this has a pretty good shot at a 10 because of what I'm not seeing on the back. Now, the things that I have circled, those should be pretty easy to wipe off with a microfiber cloth. So just kind of keep that in mind. But the rest of the card, the centering looks good on the back. There's no issues on the corners. The edges look really good. It's really just double check the centering on the front. That's the only thing that I'll suggest. But aside from that, if all of that looks really good to you in person, you have a really good shot at this Primal Groudon becoming a 10, which is really good. So kudos to you. That card's beautiful. All right, so next up we have 6'1". Looking at the Espeon EXs. These cards have definitely been seeing, I mean, it's like every card, but this card specifically in the Umbreon version from this 2016 era, it's going up in price a little bit. So let's take a look. So really, so far right off the bat that I see is just some stuff to clean off, like the tail has a little bit of dirt, but aside from that, the centering actually looks pretty good on the top, bottom, left, and right. So aside from that, the card looks really good. Just clean that off in the base of the tail, and that front looks really, really clean. The back equally looks clean, man. There's just some, again, it's kind of very similar to that Primal Groudon we just looked at. It's really just kind of cleaning off the back of the card. That's really about it, because we have that going on. We have that going on. That. But all that looks really easy to treat. Maybe a little bit of whitening there. But again, I think this one would be just treat those. Treat the whitening there, and that with just a microfiber cloth. And I'd probably say that it's a pretty good shot at a 10, to be honest. And cleaning the front of the base of the tail here that I have circled here. But that's about it. So yeah, really good submissions tonight, guys. All in all, there was a lot of really good 10 contenders, to be honest. The Espeon was really clean. The Primal Groudon was really clean. A lot of really, really clean cards tonight. There's really only a few, maybe the Sylveon EX and the Lapras EX that were kind of in that light play to mod play range, or that like 6 to 5 range. But really good. Really no complaints, to be honest. So the next thing that we're going to be doing is we are going to be doing tonight's debrief, which is a topic that we vote on each week, where you as chat get to vote on topics that I kind of pull in the Discord. And this week's topic is when to sell your cards. It is a question that I am asked often on when to sell, when to buy, when to hold, all that fun stuff. So we're going to be going over that in just a second here, because I think it's really important. I think one of the biggest things that kind of impacts kind of the decision of like when to do this is FOMO. FOMO is a big, big part right now in kind of these factors of what will make someone sell a card if they didn't want to or whatever. So let us go to TCG Player, and let's just look up a common card. So we'll just do like a Mew. We'll look up a Mew EX, just as an example, the Bubble Mew, if you will. So let's say the Bubble Mew, right? So I'm trying to zoom out as much as I can for you guys to see. So you'll kind of have to bear with me here. So let's kind of first paint the picture on what you should kind of know before. I'm going to mute this real quick. So first we got to talk about what you kind of need to know before you even think about selling, trading, holding, any of that. So the first thing you want to do is want to track what you're in it for, right? So let's say in this example, you bought a Paldean Fates box or tin or pack or whatever. Let's say you bought a pack, $5 pack, and you are the luckiest person on the planet and you pulled the Mew EX, right? So your cost is 5 to pull the Mew, which currently at this time, the market price is roughly 700. So you are plus 695 in unrealized gains. So it's really important to emphasize the unrealized because you have not sold it yet. The secondary market is telling you that the market is 700. You're in it for $5 because you pulled it from a pack. You are plus 695 in unrealized gains. So it's really important that we have to keep that in mind. So with this Mew, and we'll just kind of take a loose screenshot here, right? So this Mew, let's say that you bought it and you are plus 695. Look at you. Congratulations, chat. You have a Mew that you are up 695 in unrealized gains. So unrealized. So when someone asks me, should I sell my Mew? You know, if you sold it a month ago, right? So if we even go back at this chart, if you sold it a month ago, let's say August 13th. If you sold this a month ago, you would have possibly sold it at 500. Now, right, as we go even like to August, let's see, like August 25th, you know, 10 days later, roughly, you could have sold it at 650. Right? You can't, it's hard. It's hard to predict what these ebbs and flows of the market are going to be. So it really just depends, to keep it as simple and straightforward as possible. Ask yourself a series of questions that even I ask myself when determining if I should sell a card or not. So the first thing is, do you need the cash? So cash, right? Do you need it? Yes or no? Right? So yes, no. Yes, sell it, right? If you absolutely need it, like if there's like a loan or an emergency or something like that that you absolutely need cash, yes, sell it. And depending on the speed in which you need the cash, it's really kind of up to you, right? The faster you need it, the more you're going to kind of lose on potential value. So if you have it in an eBay auction or selling it at a in-person show or on Facebook Marketplace or something like that, like if speed is priority, you're going to lose that potential. So just kind of keep that in mind. So kind of play with those, and that's another topic for another time, but that's when you would sell it. So if you don't need the cash right now, the other question that you should start to ask yourself is, do you love the card, but if someone came across and said, this is kind of the offer that I would give, and it's like you can't say no offer, then list it super high. Like a lot of vendors will do that at bigger shows. So like for example, if they had this card and they didn't really want to sell it at market, but they just kind of wanted to see if someone bites and gives them a too good to pass up offer, you can kind of go about it that way. So if we do no, and then we do, like too good, right? So this is kind of what we're talking about, the too good offer. And we say yes, right? So yes, mark it up maybe plus, whatever, 10 to 20%. So when you see that, when you see the 10 to 20% markup, that tends to be what people are kind of striving towards, is that they don't really want to sell it, but if someone gives them a really good offer, they'll take it. And if they don't, like if you don't even want to sell it at all, then keep it, right? Like you obviously don't want to sell it regardless on what people give you. You just want to keep it. The other part that I think is really interesting is if you don't need the cash, but you are falling out of the card, like falling out of love with the card, or you want to transfer that unrealized gain into trade, which trade gives you more buying power, you can trade the card instead of selling the card, right? So if you pulled the MUEX, but you're not really a fan, but you want to collect, I don't know, let's say you want to collect shiny, like baby shinies, or you want to collect like PSA 9s or whatever, this card would be a really easy way for you to get a lot of capital in trade credit to trade towards a new goal or a new set of goals that you have. So trading is also a part of the equation that you should hold as well. So really, it just kind of boils down to 4 outcomes when looking at trying, like if selling a card is worth it, right? Do you need the money? Yes, sell it. How that method is, that's really up to you. So that unrealized gain will then become realized. So if you sell it for, the market on screen, let's say that was 700, you bought a $5 pack, you're plus 695 in unrealized gains. Let's say that you sold the card for 600, so your realized gain was really 595, right? So you made up the cost of the pack and then some, so you're up, the 595. And so that's it. Like you sold it, you got the money. If you want to display it and you still want to kind of enjoy the card, but you don't want to pass up a too good to pass up offer, you can still sell it and display it as for sale, but mark it up 10 to 20%. Just know, from a buyer perspective, it kind of lends itself to being a little odd that it's like if you don't want to sell it, then just don't bring it versus just kind of throwing a crazy arbitrary number out there for something that has ample sales data. But that's more on the vendor side, and that's more of a discussion on the other end. But basically, have it listed, too good to pass up, that's fine. So if this card maybe, let's say that the market was 700, right? So you had 700 and you put a kind of a 20% markup. You could list it for 840 if you wanted to. And if someone offered you 840, cool. You went above market, you were cashed out. So your realized gain would then be a little bit higher than what you could possibly get if you sold it at the flat market price. But if you don't want to sell it, doesn't matter what cash, then hold on to it. There's nothing pressuring you to sell it. You can hold on to it if you kind of want to see if it climbs, but it may also go down, right? So it's unrealized gains will go like this, and you won't know what it's realized until you actually sell it. And if you just kind of want to hold on to it because it's a cool collector's piece and you pulled it, it's sentimental to you, there's nothing wrong with that. The other thing that I personally like to do if I have a card like this is if you want to support other collecting goals, you can use this for even more buying power because trade credit typically is more stronger than simple cash out. So going to trade shows and saying, hey, I have this MUEX, I'm looking to trade with it, and buying a lot of cards to fund other collection goals is a really powerful way to not spend more money and get maximum value out of a card, outside from the display and gambling and having a chance of someone offering you a too good to pass up offer. So that's kind of what I personally do. But at the end of the day, do not let FOMO dictate what you personally want to do, because there's all these different paths of cash and displaying and trading and holding. It often gets very confusing because there's a lot of social media pressure to sell these cards and treat these cards like day trading. And it really just boils down to those four main pieces. So just kind of follow that line. That's what I personally do. I've seen success. It's keeping my head on my shoulders and not sent me down a FOMO path that I always regret, because I hate hearing that from people. It kind of, makes me upset for them. Be like, man, like I didn't really want to sell that card, but I did. Now I regret it. That's the end of the day. You want to make sure that when you do something and you choose to do something with a card, that you don't regret it at the end of the day. And having those four paths in your disposal and kind of going down that workflow is going to help you make a decision that you're not going to regret. So that is my coverage on when you should sell your cards and when you should hold them or trade them or display them. So that's pretty much it. So, all right, guys. So that is going to be it for me tonight. Got a lot of fun stuff. I just released a video on my YouTube channel. Let me actually see if I can show that off real quick. Now, I'm not going to play the video specifically. But on my link tree, which my link is in the description or bio, depending on where you're watching me, this video was a really good one. This was a show that I had in the Capital Region Card Show where my prices were really good, but I personally feel that they're probably too good because I had a lot of people coming back like numerous times throughout the show. So part of me is like, I think my prices may have been good, but I don't want to spoil it too much. It's a really good one. There's a lot of different people that come in and out of the show, and the event is really well organized. I cannot speak any more highly of the Capital Region Card Show staff. They do a phenomenal job at running that event, so definitely take a look at that as well. I got some more clips that I'm going to be editing tonight, so you'll be seeing some more videos dropping throughout the week. It is pretty much grind time. And the other thing that I'm starting to plan is that box I keep hinting at back there. I'm going to be hopefully making a video about soon, but I don't want to spoil it any more than that. I'm super excited to share that with you guys. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So guys, I always appreciate the love and support. You guys are the best, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.